Hello, everyone, and welcome to our ethics course. Ethics serves as a foundation for evaluating what we think, believe, and do, providing a framework to define who we are and the actions that we stand behind. It's at the core. Ethics is about aligning our integrity and our values with our morals. As counselors, ethics shape every aspect of our practice, prompting us to explore key questions. How do we as humans determine what constitutes as morally or ethically good or bad decisions? What processes drive ethical decision making? And should we consider psychological, emotional, intuitive, cognitive, and social factors? And the answer is absolutely. Conversely, what leads to poor, immature, and unethical decision making? And these are the types of questions that we're going to explore together throughout our time in this course. So I encourage you to engage in some very critical thinking and generate some original ideas as we navigate through these various different concepts. We're going to begin with an introduction to ethics, providing a background information and an overview of the ACA Ethics Code. And additionally, we will discuss decision making and exploring models to guide us through various different ethical dilemmas. So here is a brief overview of the ACA Code of Ethics. Some key aspects of the ACA Code of Ethics is the preamble. You'll see that at the very top there. And this is to help us consider and focus on enhancing human development across the lifespan, honoring diversity, and adopting a multicultural approach to support dignity, potential, and uniqueness of individuals within their social, cultural context. It emphasizes the importance of promoting social justice, prioritizing client welfare, safeguarding the integrity of the counselor-client relationship, and practicing with confidence and ethical integrity. For example, consider a scenario where someone works in an environment where shortcuts are common and they question why they're holding themselves to a higher standard. This highlights the importance of internalizing professional values and reflecting on how they influence both personal and professional behavior. Later in this course, we'll delve deeper into these values and their practical application. The ACA Ethics Code serves six primary purposes: establishing ethical obligations, providing a framework for ethical decision making, identifying considerations for counselors and counselors in training, clarifying the code's application for members, and serving as a day-to-day guide for ethical practice. This framework is essential for supporting the mission of the counseling profession, which is still relatively young compared to other fields. Acting ethically not only benefits the clients, but also demonstrates the professionalism and the growth of the field. While these responsibilities may seem overwhelming, this course aims to break them down into manageable components. We'll cover 9 core sections, starting with the counseling relationship, which relies on trust as a cornerstone, along with confidentiality, privacy, limits of confidentiality. We're also going to address documentation, professional responsibilities, and relationships with other professionals. Given the interconnectedness of the field, networking and respecting others' professional values can greatly support ethical decision making. This course will also include discussions on evaluating, assessing, and interpreting ethical guidelines, working through case studies and ethical dilemmas, and understanding the role of research in upholding the field's integrity. Topics such as telehealth, technology, and social media will be examined, along with steps to resolve ethical conflicts. Finally, when personal and professional values conflict, we need to seek supervision and consultation. That's going to be absolutely essential. And this is going to help the counselor manage countertransference, recognizing our own biases, and ensuring that those biases do not interfere with ethical practice. Throughout this course, we'll explore these issues in depth and build your understanding and confidence in navigating ethical challenges. So, ethics provides us with a framework that helps us define who we are and what actions we choose to support. So, who are you as an individual? Who are you as a professional? Do your professional and your personal values align? If they don't, where do the gaps exist? How can you bridge them with greater understanding, compassion, and empathy? Our ethical beliefs influence the way that we live, the emotions we experience, and the world we shape through our decisions. Each of us bring our own unique set of ethical standards, often without realizing it. And my hope with this course is that you'll spark greater understanding and self-awareness and inspire you to rethink and redefine your ethical perspectives. Ethics are the standards that guide a person's behavior, both personally and professionally, like we just discussed, and aligning those actions with their moral values are going to be of great importance. While values and morals are closely related, they are two distinct concepts, and we're going to explore this throughout the course. Developing ethical awareness requires self reflection, examining your own values, beliefs, and attitudes to understand how they shape your ethical outlook and influence your decision making. The Code of Ethics serves as a guiding framework that illuminates the mission, values, and principles that support decision making and professional counseling. Our work is dynamic, it's constantly evolving to meet the needs of our diverse and unique clients. While we may encounter reoccurring themes and develop a deeper understanding of certain concepts, such as one size does not fit all approach, especially in counseling, we must prioritize client welfare within an ethical framework. The counselor's ethical framework serves as a consistent reference point, reflecting both verbal and nonverbal actions. This raises important questions. How do your personal and professional values align? Do your actions demonstrate integrity and consistency, or are there discrepancies that may impact how you are perceived by colleagues and clients? Recognizing misalignment in your values and ethics practices is critical. How do you address these inconsistencies? Engage in open, transparent, and sometimes difficult conversations is going to be essential for fostering self awareness, enhancing your effectiveness as a counselor. The Code of Ethics is not standard. You'll hear me say this, it is a living and breathing document that evolves intentionally to redefine the boundaries of competent practice. It adapts trends and emerging challenges in the field, ensuring relevance and applicability. For instance, we can anticipate updates in the near future that will address the changing landscape of counseling, helping us stay aligned with our current practices and standards. We also need to address the role of ethics and prudence in our work. Prudence is a habit that drives individuals to act with integrity, even in situations where the ethical path forward may not be clear. In these moments of uncertainty, we must consistently return to the foundation of ethical practice, seeking supervision and consultation. You'll hear me say this time and time throughout the course. Supervision and consultation will be absolutely key for your time as a counselor, and referencing the Code of Ethics and adhering to appropriate boundaries. These practices equip us to make well informed and healthy decisions while demonstrating honesty and trustworthiness. Key principles such as integrity, fidelity, obedience, and non malfeasance guide us in this practice. Here you can see a quote by Brene Brown, and she states, "Practicing courage and integrity often means choosing courage over comfort, doing what is right instead of what is fast, easy, or fun, and living by our values rather than simply declaring them." So take a moment to reflect on this and consider the gravity of these choices and their significance in upholding the professionalism and integrity of our field. Throughout this course, we will explore various different types of ethics, including principles and virtue ethics, which will be woven into the content of different ways in our course. And while these ethics may not always be explicitly labeled in lectures, they are present and can be recognized with careful observation. We will cover aspirational ethics, which represents the highest standard of practice for counselors to aim for. This involves striving to do our best, setting realistic expectations for ourselves, and working within the framework that promotes excellence. In contrast, mandatory ethics require us to comply with minimum standards of ethical behavior. Each workplace, whether an agency or a private practice, will have its own set of guidelines, missions, and values, and regulating standards, all of which must align with the ethical codes. When in doubt, always refer to the most stringent code of ethics and seek supervision or consultation, I told you it'd come up again, as needed. Positive ethics emphasize doing no harm. This means offering support, being a resource, and providing help, but always within the boundaries of our scope of practice to avoid blurred boundaries or ethical dilemmas. Principle ethics focus on societal and personal morals to resolve ethical concerns. They challenge us to consider questions like, what should I do? How should I approach this? While encouraging informed and appropriate plans of action. Ethics, morals, and values are foundational beliefs that shape our attitudes and behaviors. It's essential to reflect on who you are and what you believe, especially when working with clients who may not share the same values. The goal is to maintain integrity and prioritize the client's best interests and avoid imposing your beliefs on others because doing so could potentially be a harm. Virtue ethics addresses the space between what is right and what is wrong. This concept is often evident in personal growth, such as recovery journeys. The space represents where much of the transformative work happens, understanding where you are now and where you need to go to get there. Virtues guides your decisions, helping you reflect on questions like who am I when no one's watching? Who do I want to be? And who should I be? It is within this reflection that you bridge the gap between what is right and what is wrong, allowing you to align your actions with your ideals. Throughout this course, we will explore core values and moral principles as they serve the foundation for ethical decision making. These principles, which will reoccur throughout the course material, are essential in guiding our work as counselors. Let's start with autonomy. This emphasizes the importance of fostering independence and self determination in our clients. Our role is to guide and support clients as they navigate change while respecting their values and individuality. This requires creating a space where clients feel free to express themselves without judgment. Non malfeasance. This principle is essentially means do no harm. As counselors, we must approach our work with intentionality, ensuring we have the tools and knowledge necessary to provide effective and ethical care. Our actions must always align with the best interests of the clients, avoiding harm at all cost. Benefits. This is an obligation to do what is good and promote well-being in our clients. This means prioritizing their best interests and avoiding imposition of our own values and beliefs. We must remain vigilant about how nonverbal communication, such as facial expressions, body language, and posture, can inadvertently convey judgment. Clients often perceive subtle shifts in our demeanor, which may lead them to feel judged or unsupported. Therefore, it's critical to reflect on our values, biases, and potential countertransference to assure that we remain client centered. Managing personal challenges. So, as counselors, we may encounter populations or issues that challenge our personal comfort or beliefs. For example, some individuals may feel that they cannot work with certain populations, for example, perhaps sex offenders. However, in many cases, we may not have the luxury of choosing the clients that we work with, and it's important to consider how we will navigate these situations while maintaining professionalism and a commitment to justice and fairness. For instance, working with sex offenders may provide an opportunity to ensure that they receive quality treatment and that they are able to reintegrate into society successfully. So that brings us to our bottom set of morals and values here. Justice refers to fairness and equitable treatment in working with diverse populations, and it's crucial to ensure that accommodations and resources are distributed equally. In adjustments, if they need to be made for one client but not for another, it's important to reflect the reasons behind those decisions and how they align with the principle of justice. Fidelity involves honoring commitments, building trust, and maintaining consistency in our professional relationships. It's talking the talk and walking the walk. For example, if you promise to follow up with a client or assign homework, you must follow through. Doing so helps establish boundaries and continuity of care, both of which are essential for creating reliable and trustworthy therapeutic relationships. Veracity is a principle of truthfulness. Throughout this work, we will engage in discussions that challenge our thinking and evoke strong feelings. These conversations are opportunities to express compassion appropriately and grapple with complex ethical dilemmas. By embracing these challenges, we can grow as professionals and better serve our clients. Ultimately, these core values autonomy, non malfeasance, benefits, justice, fidelity, and veracity form the ethical backbone of our work. They require continuous self reflection, intentional action, and commitment to fairness and integrity as we navigate the complexities of the counseling profession. As a professional counselor, how do you embody honesty and trustworthy in your practice? These principles are foundation to the work that we do, and there are several ways to ensure that we uphold them accurately and effectively. So, first and foremost, we need to accurately represent our credentials and our experience. It is essential to be transparent with clients who are about who we are and what they can expect when entering a counseling relationship with us. This includes accurately portraying our professional qualifications, work experience, and areas of expertise to establish a trustworthy rapport. We also need to ensure appropriate billing for services rendered. We will discuss fraud and waste and abuse provisions throughout this course to better understand how to uphold integrity in financial transactions. We need to maintain real time documentation of clients' interactions, which is critical. We must avoid backdating entries, and when using electronic systems that are time stamped, label delayed entries appropriately. Accurately record accurately record should include candid descriptions of treatment, progress, success, setbacks, and challenges. These records allow for transparency and provide clients with a realistic view of the therapeutic process. Clients often enter treatment expecting immediate answers or solutions. If you haven't already found this out, you soon will. And it's important for us to set realistic expectations at the very beginning of our relationship and emphasize collaboration in the counseling process. This includes discussing potential successes as well as challenges, such as triggers or relapses, and working together to navigate these obstacles. Counselors should regularly seek supervision. Again, it keeps coming up. This ensures we remain informed about current trends, receive feedback, or engage in meaningful professional discussions. These interactions can spark valuable insights, whether they come from an aha moment of agreement or respect disagreement that fosters deeper understanding and growth. Part of the learning process includes reviewing ethical dilemmas and considering various perspectives. This course provides resources such as ethical dilemma chart to help guide discussions and decision making when faced with various different challenges. By consistently demonstrating honesty and trustworthiness in these ways, counselors build strong relationships with clients, foster trust within the professional community to ensure the integrity of their work. So, as we transition into the topic of ethical decision making, we've already established a foundation for understanding the Code of Ethics and how it informs and guides our professional decisions. So, now we're going to delve deeper into ethical decision making and the role of personal values and how they play into shaping how individuals perceive and navigate ethical challenges in the world. Your work experience and supervision history significantly shape your ethical decision making. Without the necessary tools and resources, making sound ethical decisions becomes more challenging. However, with adequate preparation and support, you can approach ethical dilemmas with greater confidence and well informed choices. So, you have a copy of this chart in the module, but I just want to talk about how to go through this. These are the steps of ethical decision making. So, first, we must identify the problem. Begin by clearly defining the ethical issue at hand. A thorough understanding of the problem lays the groundwork for an effective solution. Then we must apply the code of ethics to analyze the problem and guide your thought process. These principles provide a structured framework for navigating ethical challenges. Next, we must reflect on core values and principles, like we discussed earlier, such as autonomy, justice, non malfeasance, and ask yourself what must be considered. Are there relevant professional literature or updated resources, particularly regarding evolving issues like technology, that can provide additional insights? Engage in discussions with colleagues, supervisors, and other professionals. State regulatory bodies often serve as valuable resources for addressing ethical questions and providing clarity. Brainstorm possible solutions and pathways. Ensure that you explore multiple options before deciding on a direction. Carefully assess the possible outcomes of each course of action and consider the impact not just on yourself and your client, but also on the community and society at large. Ask, are justice and the broader implications being addressed? Is the solution ethically sound on a macro and micro level? Once the course of action is selected, carry it out with an intention and care. The goal of this process is to utilize facts, resources, and thoughtful analysis to arrive at the most ethical and effective solution. By following this structured approach, you will be better equipped to handle ethical dilemmas in a way that prioritizes the welfare of all involved, including clients, the community, and the broader world. This decision-making framework helps to ensure thoughtful, informed, and responsible actions in professional practice. There are various approaches to ethical decision making, two of which I'm going to highlight here. First is ethical relativism, and this is all about ethical decisions that are based on the context or consequences of actions. In this framework, the morality of the behavior can vary depending upon the situation or the outcomes. Secondly, here we have ethical absolutism, where ethical decision making is grounded in fixed moral principles that apply universally regardless of individual beliefs or circumstances. As you consider these schools of thought, it is important to recognize that each of them has a place. Often the choice of approach will depend on specific nature of the ethical dilemma, as well as the counselor's level of development, education, training, supervision, and other tools available to them. Let's look at the ACA 9 stages of ethical decision making. While these stages may seem similar, it's important to adhere to the most stringent guidelines and always consult again with your supervisor to ensure that ethical decisions align with the standards of your specific workplace. Here's an overview of the practice. Start by clearly defining the situation. What is the problem? Identify who will be affected and understand how the decision will impact them. Consider the implications for all parties involved and refer to the ethical principles and standards set out in the ACA Code of Ethics. We always want to ensure that we are adhering to relevant laws, regulations, and professional guidelines. Is there anything new or different that might help guide your decision? Reflect on your personal feelings and assess your competency level. If you're unsure or lack confidence, have those important conversations with trusted colleagues. These decisions are valuable, essential to your ethical practice. Next, formulate an alternative course of action. So, what's your plan B? Consider all possible outcomes for those involved, keeping the potential implications in mind. After making a decision, go ahead and implement it and continue to monitor the outcome. The process involves a cycle of ongoing evaluation, ensuring that you follow through and close the loop. Check in with those affected and see if the outcomes align with your intentions. If it hasn't, reflect on what might need to change and are there additional resources or decisions that are required at this point in time. The social constructivism decision making model emphasizes gathering information from all parties involved, considering their perspectives, and understanding the dynamics at play. This model encourages us to reflect on who is involved and actively listening to their voices and assessing the nature of the relationship in the moment. Consider the supervisor supervisee relationship. How does it influence the counselor client dynamic? What about the connections with other colleagues and potentially even personal relationships that may require setting professional boundaries within the workplace? It's essential to assess these relationships and identify what is needed in the moment and seek consultation and expertise from others in the field. Brainstorming and exploring options together can help clarify the best course of action. Disagreements are going to be inevitable. It's important to navigate them respectfully. Agreeing to disagree can create space for acceptance, acknowledging each person brings their own values, opinions, and biases and beliefs. The goal is to respond in a way that fosters reasonable consensus. Even if the disagreements arise, we should strive to reach a common ground and then implement the decision and roll out a plan of action accordingly. And lastly, here we're going to look at the Foster, Miller, and Davis decision-making model. This is widely recognized in the literature, and it offers a 7-step framework for ethical decision-making. It's crucial that throughout our work together, that each step ensures an informed approach and implementing a plan and following up to assess the outcomes. So this here that you've learned today is just a starting point of providing a solid foundation to build upon as you deepen your understanding of ethics and guidelines and how they influence decision making in our field.